This video is sponsored by Alcid eHomes, whose mission it is to accelerate the advent of sustainable, healthy living systems around the world. Hi and welcome to Best in Tesla. So I have been on a road trip around Europe and I wanted to tell you about my experience driving an electric car around Europe and a Tesla. Because I found out just how big the difference is between a Tesla and any other electric car. It is even worse than I thought. It is actually so bad that even Herbert Diess, the CEO of Volkswagen, had just been out criticizing the charging infrastructure from his holiday, where he also drove to Italy through Austria, as I did. And yes, it is bad if you are not in a Tesla. Because I had a wonderful experience driving a Tesla around. Actually, I think Tesla is one of the absolute best road trip cars on the road, but I will make a separate video about that, so don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on that video. But in this video, I will take a dive into one of the biggest concerns about having an electric car, and that is range and charging on a road trip. And I just did 4,300 kilometers road trip through 5 different countries here in Europe. So let me show you what I learned, and what Herbert Diess learned, and what it all means, and let's dive right in. So range anxiety is one of the biggest concerns of buying an electric car, but I drive the Tesla Model 3 long range, and let me just say, we did not experience range anxiety, not even once. The car tells us how to get to our destination, but the Tesla wants to do it with as few stops as possible. That means it wants to drive for about 3.5 hours in one go as a family with small children. We never do that. Firstly, I don't like to do that. I think this is how road trips get tough. Driving too long in one go, my back doesn't like sitting down that long, and it's just not fun. So we always chose a charging point earlier than what the Tesla suggested. So that also means we never experience waiting for the Tesla to charge, because we made the stop every 1.5 to 2 hours, but we also picked a Tesla charging station. And then while we were on the toilet and getting some drinks and snacks, and maybe there was a playground so the children want to play for 5 minutes. So when we were done with our stop, maybe 15 or 20 minutes had passed and the car had only been driving for 2 hours, well, 15 to 20 minutes charge would be enough to get us to the next stop 1.5 to 2 hours down the road. So because we were not in a hurry, made at least twice as many stops as the car had to, but chose Tesla charging stops anyway and just topped it off, we always had more charge that we needed and didn't have to charge very long, which meant we were never waiting for the car to charge. When we came back to the car, we would just unplug and drive on. And even when we made the longest drive we did on the trip home from the last day, which was a 1,200 kilometer drive. But it was very easy and enjoyable because we stopped frequently and didn't push our bodies with long, tiring 4-hour drives. I can highly recommend driving like this even if you're driving a nice car. But this was just to say that range anxiety does not exist in a car that can drive about 350 kilometers on a highway with 130 kilometers an hour. And my Tesla Model 3 long range can do just that. And when you have a charging network as big as Tesla's with fast chargers, 150 kilowatt or more, you will never have any problem finding a charging station that suits your driving style, whether you like to drive 2 hours or 3 hours straight. But the big difference comes when you get to the charging stations, because many are building new charging stations where Tesla also has charging stations, because you have to find places where you're allowed to put up these stations, so they tend to be at the same spots. And more stations are coming from other than Tesla. We did see nice 350 kilowatt charging stations, but they only had like 2 or 4 maybe 6 stalls, and they are not a common thing. Like this one from Allego, they do have these 350 kilowatt charging stations like this one, but as you can see, there are only 4 stalls, and some only have 2 stalls. And on the other side here, you can see Tesla chargers, and there are 850 kilowatt and 8 250 kilowatt chargers, so 16 stalls in total. And this was the common theme on our road trip. We got to a Tesla charging station with usually about 16 stalls, 150 or 250 kilowatt chargers, and then at this place, for example, there was one 11 kilowatt charger where 2 EVs could charge at the same time, and then there was one 50 kilowatt charger where 2 could share that one as well. So again, in total 4 EVs could charge, but the so-called charging station could only put out 61 kilowatt at a time. So even just one of the 16 stalls Tesla had put up would put out more kilowatts than all of these 4 charging spots for all other EVs. And right now, there might not be many EVs on the road, but this will change rapidly. And we could also see just how many Teslas were driving around compared to other EVs. Like at this station where there was 8 Teslas charging when I came, but only 3 other non-Tesla EVs. But if there had been 8 non-Tesla EVs at this station, they would have been stuck there for hours and hours. And the myth of EVs having to charge and sit there and wait for hours and hours would have been true, but it was just not true with the Tesla. But that was not a one-time thing. We saw this all the time. We also saw stalls not working and people getting kind of stuck. We came to this charging station, for example, where there again was 16 150 kilowatt Tesla chargers, and then 2 350 kilowatt Allego stalls and 1 50 kilowatt stalls. And there was a Volvo hybrid at this station trying to get the 50 kilowatt stalls to work because they cannot use the 350 kilowatt chargers because they're just a stupid little hybrid car. So they only had the 50 kilowatt chargers, and that one did not work. Again, not an uncommon scene, and they were calling Allego to get the stall to work, but when we had been to the toilet and the children had gotten ice cream, then me and my wife went over there and trying to help them out by testing out our plug share plug if that would help, but still they could not get the car to communicate with the stall. So we gave up and drove off with 97% charge because we had to wait there a little longer than expected because we're trying to help out, but the poor folks in the Volvo had not even got a charge still after 30 minutes there. Of course, as they said, they could just continue driving with the gas engine, but this was not the point of having a hybrid car, right? So they really wanted this to work. But had that been an ID3 on Polestar 2 or any other BEV than a Tesla, they would have been kind of stuck there, or they could of course try the 2 other stalls, but sometimes there is only one stall, and if that does not work, you are stuck. This was just a very bad experience for an electric car fan like myself. I really want everyone to experience the joy I had on my road trip with an electric car. But the problem is, if it's not a Tesla, you will not get that experience. So even though it sounds great that we have over 250,000 stalls here in Europe, so you can just go everywhere you like in Europe, and in theory you can, but it would not be the best experience in an ID3, for example, because many of them are just destination chargers, like 11 or 22 kilowatt, or 50 kilowatt chargers. And many so-called stations only have one stall, or maybe 2 stalls. There are so far between the 350 kilowatt charging station, and when they're finally there, there are only like 2 or 4 stalls. That might be okay right now because Tesla's so-called competition does not really sell that many EVs, so the charging stations are rarely fully taken. But within a year or 2, there will be a lot more EVs on the road, and the others are simply not moving fast enough to get big stations up and running. Just like we have seen in the UK, where GridServe have made this very cool electric courtyard of a charging station with huge amount of chargers for every single electric car out there, from Teslas to every other electric cars, and up to 350 kilowatt charging stalls running on sunshine. So all very, very cool. But that was only one station for all of Great Britain. I know they want to build 100 of these stations, but we're still waiting for the next one, right? They want to build 100 stations in 5 years. So they are cool and have plenty of chargers, but Tesla is going to put up 10,000 stalls a year, and probably much more, as Elon tweeted out about this massive increase in the charging network coming. Also, Allego, who has quite a few charging stations, but most of them are 50 kilowatt chargers, not their 350 kilowatt chargers, and they only expect to put up about 322 stalls of this 350 kilowatt chargers this year. And again, Tesla will put up 10,000 stalls. Not quite the same thing or pace here. So no one is moving as fast as Tesla, and even Ionity, the Volkswagen Dieselgate charging station, have been around for 4 years but have only put up about 400 stalls. That's only 100 stalls a year. You know Tesla is putting out 2,500 cars per day on the street, right? And next year, 5,000 cars per day on the street. And all the others combined will also put thousands of EVs on the street per day. So 100 stalls a year is hardly a drop in the ocean. But at least they're fast chargers. But this is also why I think Tesla needs to open up their charging network, because it's kind of necessary if the other EV owners shall also have this great experience of driving an EV, as all of us driving Teslas does. I think Tesla has come to realize this, that no one else is going to move fast enough. Just as they found out about batteries, no one was going to produce enough batteries for Tesla to grow as fast as they wanted, or to support the transition to EVs as fast as Elon and many other things it will happen, and is necessary for a much faster transition to a sustainable transportation. So Tesla had to figure out how to make a battery that can be produced in the terawatts. And they did. And now again Tesla sees that no one of the other electricity companies that are making charging stations is moving fast enough to support the fast growing fleet of electric cars. So now again Tesla is taking on this task on themselves to massively increase the number of charging stations around the world, and then opening it up to other EVs. Because it is not just me or Tesla that thinks we need to do something. Even Volkswagen CEO Herbert Diess wrote on LinkedIn after his road trip to Italy. That was a regrettable experience driving an ID.3 to a summer destination. Diess said he had trouble finding a working plug along the Brenner Pass that links Austria to Italy, as I also experienced, just not on the Ionity charging network. And he also said, so I kept driving to Trento, before describing the Ionity charging point he found in the North Italian city. No bathroom, no coffee, out of service or broken charging point, a sad state of affairs. It was anything but a premium charging experience, Ionity. So this happens quite a lot. It is not just me on my road trip that saw this a couple of times. Stalls not working is quite common when it's not Teslas. But I also drove through the Brenner Pass myself on this road trip I just did, and had absolutely no problem finding Tesla chargers. They were plentiful, fast, and all working. And that was a premium charging experience. And for Herbert Diess to criticize their own charging network, or at least partly owned by Volkswagen, really shows how badly it is, and something has to be done. And that is what Tesla is going to do. They will no longer wait for all the rest to get it. And Tesla is no longer in financial trouble, as they were through the first decade, while they still build the world's best and biggest charging network. But now they actually have the money to make some big bold moves and make this massive increase that Elon has been talking about, and help every EV owner, Tesla or not. So this is also why I think it's necessary that Tesla does this, because what we have right now for everyone else but Tesla is simply not good enough. Not even close. So bad that actually Herbert Diess is criticizing their own charging network. Ouch. And he did not have a great charging experience on the exact same route I was on, and had a wonderful charging experience. So if we want everyone to switch to EVs, we need everyone else to get the same wonderful charging experience you get in a Tesla. We need some big improvement, and fast, because the EV fleet is growing like crazy, but the charging network is not keeping up. It's hardly good enough as it is today, with the fleet of EVs being only a couple of % of the car market. So if not everyone shall have the same bad experience as Herbert Diess, we need Tesla to come in and step it up, because the others have had their chance to step up and follow Tesla's great footsteps, not just the electricity companies, but also the other OEMs, but no one did. Volkswagen only made the Ionity and Electrify America network because of Dieselgate, and that is not even good enough, as Herbert Diess just said, and Ford and GM has done pretty much nothing. Well, Ford sells less than 50,000 EVs per year, so what do they care, right? But this is exactly why we need Tesla, because they actually care about all EV owners. That is, after all, their mission, to accelerate the transition to sustainable transportation. They will not stop until every car sold is an EV. So this is why we need Tesla to do this. Even though I know this could potentially hurt us Tesla owners, because more EVs will come to this great charging network, but Tesla is simply the only one who cares and understand how fast the transition to EVs will go and how many stalls are needed. What the others are building are almost just a joke, like 1 stall or 2 stalls? Seriously? And the old OEMs, well, they care about their profits and their ICE sales, and not about helping out with building out the charging network. Luckily, many electricity companies like Allego or Smart Charge or GridServe or Eon or Clever and many others, and many new gas stations here in Europe are slowly getting it and putting up EV chargers. But again, not as fast as the EV fleet is growing. But it will of course all help, but I think we need Tesla to get the job done. Because what we have right now in Europe is simply not good enough, actually worse than I thought. And not a premium experience, as Herbert said. But if you drive a Tesla, it is more than good enough here in Europe and is a premium charging experience. To be able to drive all around Europe with no problem, no range anxiety, plenty and fast chargers that all works. That was my great experience in my Tesla here in Europe through 5 different countries. And we need this for all EV owners. Hope you enjoyed this little video, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my video about why I think Tesla is the absolute best road trip car. Not just EV, because that is quite clear by the charging alone, but no, why they are the absolute best road trip car I have ever tried. So stay tuned for that. And thank you for watching. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.